Good morning. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. We'll be getting you all the top stories over the next 60 minutes. Let's begin with the big international story that we've been keeping a very close eye on. Today marks the 10th day of the Israel-Hamas war, and the death toll and destruction only continues to increase with each passing day. Let's give you some specifics. In Israel, it has already crossed 1,400, while in Gaza, it has already crossed 2,600, and this is as per local Palestinian authorities. For civilians in Gaza, that number only continues to grow. Israeli jets have been firing missiles and targeting Hamas locations. Meanwhile, United States President Joe Biden has also spoken with the president of Palestine. They've also discussed the humanitarian crisis, the humanitarian aid that would be needed for Gaza going forward. Now, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also invited President Joe Biden of the United States to visit Israel, a possibility that the White House is considering. Biden has also went on to say that the world cannot look away from the plight of the Palestinian people, and many analysts believe that this could be seen as a softening as far as the stand of the USA is concerned. Now, Biden has also gone on to warn that Israel should not occupy Gaza. Before we bring in more ground reports and our colleagues, let's take a look at some reactions coming in.
A week ago, we saw hate manifested another way in the worst massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust. More than 1,300 innocent lives lost in Israel, including at least 27 Americans. Children and grandparents alike kidnapped, held hostage by Hamas. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza, innocent Palestinian families, and a vast majority of nothing to do with Hamas, spoke for over an hour with a family member of those Americans who are still unaccounted for. They've endured an agony of not knowing what's happened. And it's yet another reminder that hate never goes away. It only hides. Hate just hides under the rocks until there's a little oxygen blown under. Just a little bit. And it comes roaring out again. Folks, we have to reject hate in every form.
I still had in my mind a crazy idea that we will be able to help them. I'm a mother, that's what I do. I rescue my kids, that's my responsibility. But it wasn't possible, and I was on the phone with her, and I knew I was lying. In 1 minute I knew I was lying, that we cannot help her. So I decided just to talk to her and make sure she knows she's loved. So if this will be the last words she's hearing, it will be a love words, telling her how much I love her, how much we all love her, how much we want her back home, and we will go to the coffee shop that we've been a few days ago.
Hamas is ISIS, Hamas is Daesh. Hamas don't care about people's life. They care about misery of their own people. They don't care about the Palestinian people. All they wish is to kill. It's Israelis first at their border, and next it's other places in the world. They don't believe in anything, in my opinion. It's just an excuse to act as a murderer, to run in the streets as monsters. And we call you, people of India and your government, to support Israel. We're strong. We will win this fight. The international support is so important to us to get our people back from Gaza, to get our homes safe again. It will take years to wake up from this.
Let's also now bring you some visuals, some footage which will give you an idea where does the conflict currently stand. As we pointed out a short while ago, it's the 10th day since Hamas had first invaded and taken Israel by surprise. So let's bring you the first set of visuals, which is the attack as far as the Hamas militants are concerned. Now, what you see behind me, in fact, is GoPro footage that has been obtained by South First responders. Now, the footage shows you how Hamas continues to attack at locals, at residents. What they're also doing is absolute barbarism, monstrosity, because as you can see in some of these visuals, that what they're in fact attacking is not just locals and residents, but ambulances and paramedics and others as well. So as we pointed out, it's been 10 days since this conflict has been on, and even though the retaliation by the IDF is pretty strong at this point, the Hamas is also not pulling back. Let's move on to the other set of visuals. Our viewers would remember that when Hamas in fact had attacked on day one, there was a music festival that was on, and in fact at that time it was attended by thousands. Now this music festival turned into a death trap for many as 200 people losing their lives. What you see behind me are very somber scenes. One of the victims who in fact managed to save their lives from this music festival now can seen be attending the funeral of their loved ones, of their friends. Many family members have lost a lot of their children, especially who were attending this music festival. Let's also now bring you some other visuals. Now let's talk to you as far as the retaliation and the operation of the IDF is concerned. The IDF is very confident as of now that in the last few days they've in fact managed to attack some key targets as far as the Hamas is concerned. In fact, Israel also now confirming that they've managed to kill one key Hamas commander as well. So as we pointed out, the IDF also going strong with their retaliation. They're using the air mean, they're using the sea means as well. And throughout the day, what you're also seeing is the Air Force also attacking a lot of key Hamas targets. In fact, all of this happening very close to the Gaza Strip. This is what it looks like currently on the ground. For better perspective, let's also now bring in our colleague Abhishek, who in fact is on ground zero. He's in fact joining us from Tel Aviv. Abhishek, good morning. We hope you're safe. We've been seeing the kind of stellar work that you've been doing, the ground reports that you've been putting out for our viewers as well. Let's first begin with an overview to try and understand what the ground situation currently like is.
The situation is pretty tense from the Israeli side. What we have been seeing continuous firing and shelling on the Gaza border or across the Gaza border targeting Hamas militants. That is what the Israeli side's story has been. But the Palestinian humanitarian crisis is unimaginably grim these days. About 2,200 people have been killed in the last 7-8 days ever since Israeli airstrikes started on Gaza Strip targeting Hamas locations. Now, the Hamas is apparently trying to get mixed with the civilian population. They are using them as a shield also, and that means that whenever Israeli military will try to attack Hamas, there will be a certain casualty report of civilians also, and this is the situation has been. Meanwhile, the entire population of about the half the population of Palestinians living in Gaza, North Gaza, who had been asked to go back to South Gaza. The massive exodus is on, but meanwhile it's impossible. It's just not possible for entire population of about 1.1 million to have a shelter, home, basic amenities created overnight, and probably that is one of the reasons why we have seen a lot of negotiations happening between senior leadership of Israel, Qatar, Egypt, USA president also calling to Mahmoud Abbas. And now the situation has been that Egypt is going to open Rafah border. That will mean some of the residents of northern Gaza could go to Rafah also, or the humanitarian assistance can come from Egyptian side to the Gaza people of Gaza. Also, we have seen after the talk with President Biden to Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas, there has been some restoration of civic amenities or basic amenities that Israel has allowed to the people of Gaza. That means that includes water supply, that was essential. Hospitals in Gaza are running out of essential medicines, electricity, or doctors are also being targeted. So while we cannot deny the fact that whatever happened on the southern Israel on the 7th of October was very inhuman or demonish, but what is happening in Gaza is equally bad, equally grim, and the civilian casualties on either side is something that the world would not like to watch.
Abhishek, as you're rightly pointing out that the casualty on both sides
Yes,
is in fact higher. What is also interesting is the stand that we're seeing by the United States now. They're openly now discussing the kind of humanitarian crisis that is playing out in Gaza, trying to understand what is the need of the Palestinian people. Will it be fair to say at this point that this is softening of stand as far as the Biden administration is concerned?
Well, while the stance on Hamas doesn't seem to be, softening, they continue to underline the fact that every Hamas militant needs to be killed